In my previous video titled, "The Sotic Rise Recorded in the Ilahum Papyrus was on May 27, 845 BC, during Ramesses III's 7th year," I dated the latter part of Ramesses III's 7th year to 845 BC, while Egyptian chronology dated it to 1179 BC, which means the 20th dynasty during which Ramesses III reigned is 334 years too early. In my other video titled, "Correcting Egyptian Chronology's 334 Years Error," Pie defeated Osorkon II, not Osorkon IV, in 743 BC. I explained what caused this error as follows. Pie was a Kushite pharaoh and founder of the 25th dynasty of Egypt, who ruled Egypt from 744 BC to 714 BC. As the son of the Kushite king Kashta, he was both king of Nubia as well as pharaoh of Upper or Southern Egypt, with its capital initially in Thebes. The Stele of Pie chronicles his military feats that he achieved in his regnal year 21 in Nubia, which I believe was also the start of his second year reign in Thebes in 743 BC. One of the pharaohs he mentioned conquering in this military campaign was Osorkon of Bubastis, which Egyptologists identified as Osorkon IV, the last pharaoh of the 22nd dynasty, whose capitals were Bubastis and Tanis. Egyptian chronology dates Osorkon IV's reign at 730 BC to 716 BC, while it dates Pie's reign at 744 BC to 714 BC. It is quite obvious that Egyptologists interpreted the regnal year 21 mentioned in Pie's stele as his 21st regnal year as pharaoh of Egypt, without including his earlier reign as king of Nubia before becoming pharaoh. In my opinion, this is incorrect, and I believe this is where the root of the problem is in the current Egyptian chronology that resulted in dating the periods of dynasties earlier than the 25th dynasty of Pie, 334 years too early. In my revision of the Egyptian chronology, the Osorkon of Bubastis, whom Pie subjugated, was Osorkon II and not Osorkon IV. Osorkon II was also a pharaoh of the 22nd dynasty, just like Osorkon IV, but Osorkon II's first regnal year was 142 years earlier than the first regnal year of Osorkon IV. I have no revisions to the dating of the 24th, the 25th, and the 26th dynasties of Egypt, as my revisions apply only to dynasties that came before them, all the way to the first dynasty and the pre-dynastic period of Egypt. However, as a result of choosing Osorkon II over Osorkon IV as the Osorkon of Bubastis mentioned in Pie's stele, the periods of several dynasties, starting from the 20th dynasty up to the 25th dynasty, were overlapped. In contrast, current Egyptian chronology sequenced the periods of these dynasties one after the other without overlapping years. The 20th dynasty, dated 1189 BC to 1077 BC, is immediately followed by the 21st dynasty, dated 1077 BC to 943 BC, which is immediately followed by the 22nd dynasty, dated 943 BC to 716 BC, followed by three contemporary dynasties: the 23rd dynasty, dated 837 BC to 728 BC, the 24th dynasty, dated 732 BC to 720 BC, and the 25th dynasty, dated 744 BC to 656 BC. Of these dynasties I mentioned, Only the periods of the last 4 dynasties were overlapping according to Egyptologists. In my video titled Correcting Egyptian Chronology's 334 Years Error, Pie defeated Osorkon II, not Osorkon IV, in 743 BC. I showed that Ramesses XI, the last pharaoh of the 20th dynasty, was contemporary with Osorkon II of the 22nd dynasty. The following is an excerpt of that video. However, shortly before his death in 743 BC, and specifically in 744 BC, Ramesses XI succeeded in grabbing Tanis from Osorkon II, who was the pharaoh of the 22nd dynasty that time. 744 BC was also when Pie grabbed Thebes from Ramesses XI, forcing Ramesses XI to look for another capital, which Ramesses XI found in Tanis. Osorkon II's eviction from Tanis by Ramesses XI in 744 BC forced Osorkon II to move to Bubastis, an earlier capital of the 22nd dynasty before Tanis, situated just about 52.55 kilometers southwest of Tanis. Bubastis was also where Osorkon II was defeated by Pie in 743 BC, and which was why Pie referred to him as Osorkon of Bubastis in Pie's victory stele. Is there any archaeological proof to support my claim that Ramesses XI and Osorkon II were contemporaries? Chronological synchronisms are used by Egyptologists to come up with precise dates for their reconstruction of Egyptian history, and synchronisms with memorials of Apis bull interments is one of them. The Serapeum of Saqqara was the ancient Egyptian burial place for sacred bulls of the Apis cult at Memphis. Over a time span of approximately 1,400 years from the New Kingdom of Egypt to the end of the Ptolemaic period, at least 60 Apis are attested to have been interred at the Serapeum. Egyptologists noted that there is a significant gap in the record between Ramesses XI and the 23rd year of Osorkon II. Egyptian chronology dates the final year of Ramesses XI to either 1078 BC or 1077 BC, while they dated the 23rd year of Osorkon II to 850 BC, a separation of at least 227 years. At an average of 60 Apis burials every 1,400 years, about 9 to 10 burials are expected to be found in a span of 227 years. However, not even one was found. This is indirect proof that the number of years between Ramesses XI and Osorkon II should be shorter than currently dated. I dated Osorkon II's reign between 778 BC to 743 BC, while I dated Ramesses XI's reign between 773 BC to 743 BC. Egyptologist David Roll notes that no Apis bull burials are recorded in the lesser vaults of the Serapeum of Saqqara for the 21st and early 22nd dynasties, and in Roll's view, this can only be explained if the two dynasties were contemporary. Current Egyptian chronology dates the 21st dynasty between 1077 BC to 943 BC and the 22nd dynasty between 943 BC to 716 BC, while I dated the 21st dynasty between 743 BC to 609 BC and the 22nd dynasty between 849 BC to 622 BC.